so the Umbra Forma is just around the corner for a lot of players right now. Whether you're getting it now or later, you may be wondering, what should I be using it on? Well, let's take a look. There's a lot of things you can put this on, and honestly, if you did an Umbral build of any frame and threw on an Arcane Guardian, you're going to be a tank. So, this is going to come down to preference, and mostly builds that aren't going to require Arcanes. When considering my Umbra Forma, I'm considering two main things. One, is my frame going to benefit from all three of the Umbral mods? And two, am I going to need the Umbra Forma in order to complete a full build? The reason why I bring up the second one is because someone like Inaros benefits from two of the three Umbral mods very well. He benefits from the health and the armor extremely efficiently. Strength, debatably, but not so much, I would say, compared to other frames. However, the rest of his more common build, which is mostly focused around range, doesn't really require that much space, so you're actually able to fit in the Umbral mods without needing to have an Umbral Forma and still have a full build. So with these two factors in mind, let's take a look at some frames. One thing we can look at if we're considering the efficiency of all of the mods on a frame is if any abilities use armor in their scaling. Looking at some of just the basic abilities right now, there are 5 abilities that scale with armor directly. Rhino's Iron Skin, Oberon's Renewal, Frost's Snow Globe, Neja's Warding Halo, and the Rumblers for Atlas. So let's consider each of those abilities and the frames that they're on. Rhino's Iron Skin is a great candidate, and Rhino himself is a good candidate for the Umbral mod. The reason being is that he'll benefit both from strength and from armor when he's using Iron Skin, and strength also helps parts of his other build, like his buff. Next, we've got Oberon and his Renewal. Oberon's actually potentially my top candidate for my Umbra Forma. The reason for that is he benefits from all 3 of them very well. Having more health and more armor makes him a lot harder to take down while he has his Renewal buff on. Plus, the Renewal buff is going to scale with both strength and armor. Third, we have Frost. Frost benefits pretty well from all of the Umbral mods. However, in most builds that revolve around his Snow Globe, as far as endurance goes, you tend to build more for efficiency so you can just continually recast it for the state of invulnerability. However, in a generalist tank build for Frost, he actually does pretty well with all of them. He's very hard to take down with his fairly high base armor, and having the extra health pool is not a bad thing. Extra strength also feeds pretty well into his 4 and a few of his other abilities, and synergizes pretty well with his Avalanche build. Fourth, we have Neja. Neja is kind of the dark horse in the Umbral Forma race, I would like to say. He actually benefits from all of the abilities as well, very well. A large health pool allows him to take more advantage of his health orb generation. High damage reduction off of his Warding Halo stacks pretty well with his armor, and, again, more health. And more strength really fits into all of his abilities pretty efficiently. Neja is definitely not a bad choice for this. Lastly, we've got Atlas. Atlas is an interesting one. Atlas actually benefits pretty well from all of the Umbral mods. A lot of his abilities scale with all 3 parts, and just his general survivability is very good with these. If you're a fan of Atlas, he might not be a bad pick for your Umbral Forma. However, if you're looking for a more generalist use, you might want to go with a different frame. All of those listed are good choices for the Umbral Forma. But let's add a couple more to the list. There's a couple of frames that do exceptionally well with all of these stats that don't have any abilities that scale with armor. The first one that comes to mind for me is Nidus. Nidus is a monster with an Umbral build, and Nidus' regular build also relies around a lot of power strength. Because of this, a build involving a full Umbral Forma set, plus being built around strength on Nidus, is probably going to need the Forma. He'll run out of space before he can actually finish the build. Another consideration, although slightly less popular, is Saren. Saren's common build right now is just max range, and you just, spores. But there is a very good build on Saren that involves her being tanky. She can make use of the armor and health in combination with regenerative molt to be very difficult to take down. The power strength from Umbral Intensify will not only affect the heal, but it'll also affect the damage buff that you get from her Toxic Lash, and just her damage in general. You're going to lose a little bit of range, but with this build you are going to be very difficult to kill. Another frame to consider for this is Gara. Gara does pretty well with the Umbral Formas. The bonus armor and health make her a lot harder to take down while her damage reduction is on, and Umbral Intensify will be the only mod you'll need to reach the 90% damage reduction, easily. On top of this, Gar's Vitrify is going to benefit from the ability strength and armor gained by the Umbral mods. Another consideration for the Umbra Forma is Korra. Korra benefits very well from all of the Umbral mods stats. The bonus health and armor not only makes her tankier, but also makes Venari a lot harder to kill as well, thanks to the use of Link mods. Umbral Intensify also increases the heal from Venari, the speed boost gained by Korra's passive, and the damage output on the rest of her abilities. All of these factors considered, and in combination with one of Korra's augments, you could see how she could benefit greatly from an Umbral build. The last frame that comes to mind to me that really jumps out is Chroma. My issue with Chroma and an Umbral build, though, is that his build is not only very expensive, but it also uses pretty much every slot. In most cases, you tend to build for max strength on Chroma, because it maximizes his damage output as well as his survivability. If you would like to run a Chroma build that's a little bit lower on the damage, and a little bit higher on the survivability, an Umbra Forma isn't a bad choice. However, this might lock you out of a full damage build, or make it really expensive to run. Like I said, your Umbra Forma is going to come down a lot to preference, and honestly you can turn any frame into a tank with this build, especially with the help of arcanes and maybe like an adaptation. However, for my picks, I'm going to be looking at either Oberon, Nidus, Saren, Gara, or Neja. Now I'm not telling you who to put your form on, but maybe this will clarify some of the reasons why I'm picking who I'm picking, and potentially give you some ideas of who you'd like to put yours on. So what do you think? Who's going to get your Umbral Forma? Let me know in the comments who you've decided to go with, or if maybe you have another reason that I didn't list, I'd like to hear it. For now, I will see you all later.